All right. This is Miss Lisa Riggs, the director of the Gifted and Talented Program and Library Services, and I'm going to be interviewing her about Common Core. So, Lisa, is there any way to predict the probability of success with Common Core?
I think obviously when we're trying to predict the success of students, we use assessment. And so as we're in the piloting stage of the SBAC Common Core assessments, I think that that's one way to really see if we're being successful. This year, in a variety of schools, we were piloting, and we're not going to get the results back. It's sort of like it goes back to Common Core and the people that are creating the tests, and they're going to be able to review how we're doing and make some judgments as to how the tests are being created and written. So I think eventually when we get the national assessments together and we're able to rank how we're doing in comparison to other states that have adopted and have used the assessments, I think that will help. Other ways would be seeing the results of our current state testing. I mean, that's how that's how you assess, is through assessment. So if you're going to evaluate if it's going well, we should see an increase of test scores in our reading and writing annual tests in the CRTs. However, every year those tests are evolving, and they're adding the higher DOK questions, and so we're seeing some reduction. So that's one way. Another way would be looking at the level of work and the level of work that students can produce. If they're really thinking at higher levels, they're moving beyond Bloom's taxonomy, which is the purpose of Common Core. Or in Nevada, it's the Nevada Academic Content Standards. That's what we adopted because that includes the new generation of science standards. So we've got all the new Common Core standards and science standards to be looking at and evaluating through our state tests, through the SBAC tests.
Okay. How do you think current teachers will be affected by this, as well as future teachers?
Well, current teachers are going through the rollout of what grades are going to be adopting, looking at the curriculum from the state and making those adjustments. We're looking at texts. We're looking at what is going to be utilized in the curriculum at each grade level, and seeing if we can match our materials and the level of where we want our kids to be to those standards. So we're doing probably the same thing that pre-teachers are doing. We're looking at those and saying, how will I get our students to that level, and what can I use in my classroom, what strategies, and how to have those conversations of getting students to think deeper and being able to produce higher levels of work. And some of our textbooks, we really had to look at what grade, the math changed substantially when they were introducing different mathematical concepts, so we had to look at our materials as well. I think you'd be doing the same thing. I know that here in our library we have all of our textbooks, and so students should be looking at what materials are available to support the Common Core standards.
Do you think that it's going to affect, the Common Core is going to affect employment in education too?
Employment. Well, obviously students that are well versed in what Common Core, how it changed their state standards, what is specifically different, what's going on. I think they're going to be the ones that are hireable, because if you're not familiar with the new academic standards, you're not familiar with the assessments that we're preparing for, and you're not able to make the adjustment, and you think it's what you went through, I think that might be the difference.
Oh, okay. Do you think future teachers will need to be taught a different style of teaching, or will they continue to be taught the same throughout college and classes during their teaching careers?
Well, I think that we're all looking at a different style. I think with the past standards And with trying to reach that achievement gap, we did a lot of skill and drill and looking at the skill of the week and then rehearsing that skill. And Common Core standards are you're not able to break them down. You're not able to look skill by skill. And so I think that if we look at how we were educated, or how in the past 20 years our pre-service education classes were set up, we were really looking at what are some small skills that we need to teach and how do we teach those to mastery. And now they're very complex. The SLOs that the states are unveiling certainly tie to that, where you're looking at something that you teach over a long period of time, and those certainly support Common Core initiatives and standards. So it's not going to be as easy as today we're going to learn this, tomorrow we're going to learn this. There's comprehensive units that will take some time to get through that level of work.
All right. How do you think current students will react to this change?
Well, I hope the students will like it, because I think that it does open up some opportunity to really put together strong problem-based learning, engagement in the classroom through hands-on activities. You can't just answer a mathematical problem, you have to prove it and apply it. And if kids are doing that and you're more of the guide on the side, those types of strategies really work to get complex and deep thinking. But if we want to just be going over the instruction and not giving students time to talk and add to their academic language and working through problems, Socratic dialogue, then we're going to have some problems. So I hope that they look at it as an adventure of, I can really make a significant difference in my classroom if I'm allowing our kids to, my kids to think, and what does that look like, and what strategies can I do. And really it means less guided whole group instruction. It's differentiation, because we've got to meet kids at grade level and above, and how do we scaffold those that need to get to grade level. And that's not just going to work by what we may have experienced in our schooling.
All right, so the last question: how should Common Core be integrated into current schools, like gradually, and in what ways do you think?
Well, most states have adopted, and many have tried different things, rolling out by grade level. When are the state tests going to match up? And clearly, if you're testing those standards, you've got to be teaching those standards. So it just depends on what the state by state has decided on that. I suppose we've had plenty of time, because it's been now, I want to say 5 years, where they were still drafting and coming to conclusion and then adopting, fairly recent. But I think you just have to go for it, and I think you have to practice teaching at that level, and that's what our district has done. We've made a huge emphasis on the reading and writing side, and now we're picking up with math. But we always have a hard time with rolling things out, because it's time. You need that professional learning time, and even with Wednesdays, and even with the 4 days before school, that's really down to just a few days of really learning something that is new to many people. So rollouts are designed in districts, because it's just a matter of how much time can we put forward, and how can we get our teachers to be using them effectively.
All right. Well, thank you for your interview.
You're welcome.